Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Full Court Press. I am your host, Drew Duncan. Do not forget that Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan83. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. The Full Court Press is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And don't forget that you can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Simply tell your device to play the Full Court Press by Drew Duncan. Your NFL preview. There are some games that I am finding really intriguing this weekend. The 49ers and Garoppolo come away with a 1-0 start to the season, something I don't think anybody saw coming, even though it was a game against Tampa Bay. They've got the Cincinnati Bengals, who played exceptionally tough a weekend ago against the Seattle Seahawks. But playing tough is not something that we're going for, right? Look, there's no such thing as a moral victory in the NFL. So I'm looking for the 49ers. Are they good? Is Garoppolo finally worth that big payday that he got? What was it, $130 million coming out of New England, and he only won, 4 games as a starter with the 49ers? So I am looking to see whether or not Garoppolo can be that guy. And then, of course, conversely with Cincinnati, look, they played tough against Seattle. Can they figure out a way to move forward and finish games now? That's going to be the main thing. I'm not taking anything away from Russell Wilson. Hell of a comeback. But that's what I want to see from Cincinnati. Can they finish football games? I think for me, the biggest game, though, that is going to be coming up this Sunday is Minnesota and Green Bay. That's going to be one that I am definitely looking forward to. And I'm looking forward to that game because not only is it a divisional game, not only are both teams 1-0 in the division to start the season, but look at it like this. There are a lot of people that have not been shy about predicting the Minnesota Vikings and going to a playoff. And they proved last weekend that when they get that run game going, they are as good as any team in the NFL. Dalvin Cook with 111 yards a weekend ago, 2 touchdowns, and he did it all on 21 carries. That's huge. I have always said that I'm a run-first guy. And defensively, the way that Green Bay looked against Chicago, which I don't think Chicago's a very good team offensively. I think Trubisky and company is a little overrated right now. I want to see what kind of defense Green Bay really has, right? Aaron Rodgers, we got a defense. So I'm looking to see that. And I'm looking to see if Green Bay unleashes Aaron Rodgers a little bit, or if they kind of still keep him in that box and continue to push the idea of that old school running game. Look, I love the old school running game like I just made mention of a moment ago of. But here's the deal. When they finally came out and went play action, right, they came out of that timeout after they didn't look like they were good. And, of course, if Chicago, you're going, oh, man, come on, dude. They're going to run the football. They're not playing confident right now. They just had to call a timeout after coming out of a timeout. No way. And what happens? Play action, Aaron Rodgers, he bombs it right down the field. That's what I'm looking for from Green Bay. Look, you don't necessarily have to establish a great run game if they constantly think you're going to do it. You don't believe me? Go ask Tim Tebow and the Denver Broncos. Because that season, that overtime game, they just decided, well, they're going to run the football. It's overtime. They're not going to take any risk with Tebow. And play action, one-on-one Demaryius Thomas, the rest is history, right? So it doesn't have to be great in order for it to work. But it does have to be there. And it does have to be prevalent. It doesn't have to be evident. And you do have to push the idea that you're going to do this. That's why I'm looking forward to that game. Some other games I'm looking forward to, Dallas, Washington, divisional game. Washington, curious decision, obviously, last Sunday to literally sit a healthy and able to go Adrian Peterson. What became an even worse scenario was Darius Geis getting hurt in the process. And then, of course, they had a lead over Philly that they blew in that football game. and Philly ends up coming back to win. Both of these teams, obviously, back-to-back divisional games to start the season, definitely need to assert themselves right from the gate. A lot of people, I think, though, are going to have eyes on this Chiefs-Raiders game. Both teams start out 1-0. Obviously, though, for Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes and that ankle. That's number one. Number two, all those off-season moves that they made, right? Getting the honey badger and doing all the things that they did. Deron Lee from the Jets, right? Doing all the things that they did. And they let a rookie quarterback play pretty damn good football. They didn't win. And yes, I did say that if they had Nick Foles in there, I think that would have been a different football game. But Minshew was, 22 out of 25, if I remember correctly? He didn't play exactly bad football. They couldn't establish the running game, and they made some mistakes down inside the red zone. But the point that I'm making is Jacksonville may be okay with their backup quarterback, and Kansas City's defense still may not be that good. Now, as I made mention of on Monday night, the Raiders came out first quarter. They played Raider football. And I felt like if they would have played with that same attitude and mentality for full quarters, they would have dominated Denver. The score would have been like 49-3 at best, and that would have been it. And I think we would be talking about the Raiders being back. But this is not a two-quarter game. The first and fourth quarter, they played good. You need to play a full 4 quarters, especially against the Kansas City Chiefs and all those weapons. It goes beyond Mahomes and to Travis Kelce. Sammy Watkins, did he reassert himself as a prominent player in the NFL? So that's something I'm going to be looking for. And then, of course, the rematch of the century, man. The Saints and Rams. I don't know in my lifetime that I've ever been alive, at least off the top of my head, for an NFC or AFC Championship rematch in the regular season that meant more to fans than this game will between LA and New Orleans. Especially after last Monday, remember? I mean, people were talking about, man, are the refs out to get the Saints? And then, of course, Drew Brees, man, that drive to beat Houston, just phenomenal football. There were a lot of things that obviously led up to all that happening, which I don't have really time to get into right now. But the other thing I'm looking for in this game, though, or the main thing I should say, is not necessarily the referees, although I'm sure that will be a huge topic of discussion, is going to be Todd Gurley. I've already said as Todd Gurley goes, as offense goes, they really relied on him to close out that game. What was it, 54 yards, something like that in the fourth quarter after having kind of a mundane football game. Still ends up with almost 100 rushing. Is he healthy or is he not? And I have said before that I don't know that Jared Goff is a good enough quarterback to win football games day in and day out, week in and week out on a consistent basis, period. That's what I'm going to be looking for. Look, I think this Saints defense is going to play hard and fast football. I think they're going to blitz a lot, and I think they're going to dare Jared Goff to throw the football. I really do. I think they're going to dare him to throw the football. That's what the Patriots did. Well, look, without Todd Gurley, watching that Super Bowl, I could tell you right now, I could tell the Patriots were not intimidated by Jared Goff. If you stop that run game all the way, you beat the Rams. It's just a pointed fact. Carolina put themselves behind the 8 ball in that football game. Okay? So if LA can establish the run game with Todd Gurley or whomever, I know they just gave Jared Goff that payday, but if they establish that run game, they are a tough football team to beat. If they've just got to rear back and throw it, I don't know that they can. I think New Orleans is going to put the clamps down on the run game, and they're going to attack Jared Goff from a lot of different blitz packages. I think they're going to release a lot of corners and safeties to blitz Jared Goff and come right at him. They want to put a lot of pressure on that offensive line, and they want to wear that line down. That way it makes it more difficult for them to even run block, because run blocking is something every offensive lineman loves to do. Just straight up, man-to-man, strength on strength, and you don't back off at all. You just go right at him, right at the defender. And so you get to impose your will on him. Whereas if you're blitzing constantly, you're wearing down that offensive line the same way they would you if the running game was working. Because they're just driving you back all the time. It becomes physically and mentally exhausting. So I want to see if the Rams are able to do that or if the Saints dictate this football game, because I'm telling you, whoever the tougher team is in this football game, I don't think this is going to be one of finesse. I think the tougher football team will win this game. Guys, I am Drew Duncan, host of the Full Court Press. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan83. You can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. The Full Court Press is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And as always, you can find me wherever you listen to podcasts. Simply tell your device to play the Full Court Press by Drew Duncan. And don't you dare touch that dial.